Is it okay to use AI to write a book? Hey there, it's Brian Dixon from Hope Books. And you might be wondering, how does it work with AI? Is it okay to use AI to write a book? So in this video, I want to walk you through the way that I use AI every day to get more writing done. And in fact, I want to share you just a little secret with you at the end of this video that has completely blown my mind when it comes to using AI and what's possible for writing with AI in your life. Okay, so here are 3 ways that I use AI to write my book. But first, I want to answer your question. The answer is yes. It is okay for you to use AI to help you write your book. The way that I look at AI is very similar to how I started using Microsoft Word, how I use Google Documents, how I use internet research, how I used to use Wikipedia. It is a tool. It is a tool. It does not replace humans, but it can enhance humans. If you think about AI, it's kind of like a car. AI will help you get further, faster, so you have more energy to show up and be a human. Okay? So, how do I use AI? Number one, you have to use it ethically. So, you don't want AI to write for you. You want to use AI to write with you. Now, let me explain the difference between these two. Okay? For example, if I have a paragraph that I want to write, I could tell AI, write a paragraph about this, and it will do it. That to me feels a little sticky. And honestly, a lot of times it'll read like AI. It'll sound like AI. I love talking it out. So I'll use the ChatGPT app. I'll hit the little voice memo button and I'll say, I want you to transcribe and clean up my grammar for a section that I'm writing in my book. So that way I'm pre-prompting, I'm telling it what I want first. And then I will go ahead and talk it out. So as I'm talking it out, AI is recording the words I'm saying. Then when I hit stop and upload, it's going to take the instructions that I said at the beginning, and it's going to apply those instructions to the rest of the words that I said. So when I say, I want you to transcribe and clean up the grammar of what I'm writing, it's not going to write it for me. It's going to transcribe and clean up the grammar. So I just tell the robot librarian, here it is. I'm going to talk out my idea. I want you to clean up the grammar, transcribe it, clean it up, and make it better. And it'll do it. So that's one way that I use AI. Another way that I'll use AI is for filling in content. For example, if I am outlining my book and I know the basic, I did this morning. I had this book idea. So I start by saying, I want you to serve as a developmental editor and give me ideas that help me like finish off the basic structure of an outline for my book. So I'm telling it what I want first. And then once I do it, then I start talking through the idea for the book. Okay. So then I say, okay, here's the idea for the book. This is the problem, the promise, the path. Here's the person that it's for. Here's my kind of title. I'm thinking about calling it the packaging of it. And then I just give it as much as I've got. And so for me this morning, I have this book idea, but I really only had 3 main points and about 4 chapter ideas. And then what AI did is it took everything that I said, and then it also added sections that would logically make sense. Chapter 1, what's chapter 2, but I don't know about chapter 3, 4, 5, but then I'm pretty clear on chapter 6 and 7, and then I don't really know what to do, but I know how to end it. AI is going to use logic and reason and all the access it has to the world's library of content, and it's going to fill in the rest of the content that's based on that logic, based on best practices. Now, I'm not going to hit publish right away. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to look at it as a human. So then I hit record again, and I'll say, ooh, I really like what you did with chapter 6 and 7. Leave that. But I want to change 8, 9, and 10, and I want it to be more personal. And I want it to be about this and this and this, and then it will update it. So that's really the third way that I use AI. First way is to transcribe and clean up my grammar. Second way is as a brainstorming tool. And the third way is as a conversational writer. Now, what I mean by conversational writer is I will talk out what I want to write. It will show me what it thinks I want it. And then I will talk back to it and give it more feedback. And then it will update it again. And as we're kind of going ping pong back and forth, I tell it a little bit, then it will update it. Then I'll give some feedback, then it will update it. And as I'm doing that back and forth, am I writing? Am I talking? Yeah. Am I using AI? Yes. But I'm using it to get more done than I would be able to do if I completely did it by myself. If I were just sitting there in front of a computer trying to write it out myself, it would be so hard. But when I use this tool, then I'm able to get so much more done. Now you're probably wondering, what is that last little secret that I said I was going to share at the end of this video? What does writing with AI make possible that was not possible before? You ready for it? It's the Maxwell Library. Okay, now you're probably like, what's the John Maxwell Library? Published over 100 books. I always knew that I had more books in me, right? I've written 5 books, published 5 books so far. But I thought, how in the world am I going to be able to do as many books as John Maxwell? I was like, there's no way. But what I realized in researching John Maxwell, who, if you don't know, is amazing leadership coach, visionary, he's amazing. What I realized is that John Maxwell has a co-writer, somebody he's been working with for decades, somebody who helps him take his speeches, his sermon transcripts, his raw ideas, and turns them into good content. And, I worked with Michael Hyatt years ago, and Michael has the 10-80-10 rule. And basically the 10-80-10 rule is where you draft out the first 10% of the book. So basically, like, here's the reader, here's the person, here's the problem, here's the promise, here's the path, here's the overall outline of the book. Then he hands it to his son-in-law, Joel, who kind of fleshes out the rest of the content using Michael's voice and tone, vocabulary, and then gets it to 90% done. And then Michael goes back through it and just cleans it up and makes it sound more like him. 10-80-10 rule. John Maxwell has a similar strategy where he uses a co-writer, his assistant, who helps him finish these projects. That's why he's been able to get 100 done. And I realized, oh my goodness, I have the world's best co-writer in my pocket. I can let ChatGPT, I can let Chad be my co-writer. So like literally this morning on my way to the gym, I had this idea based on a conversation we had at Bible study last night. And I was like, I think I have a new book idea. And I went, wait a second. What if it doesn't take a year to write a book? What if I already spent the year? I already spent 10 years living this book. What if I could use AI to write a book in a day? And that's exactly what I did. I was like literally on the treadmill. Instead of lifting weights today, I was on the treadmill for an hour and 3 minutes. And over that hour and 3 minutes, I fleshed out a book that is so close to being done. It's probably like 60 to 70% done of what I would want a book to be before I hand it over to a real person. So that's what's possible. I realized today that I can have the Dixon Library. I can have the John Maxwell level library of my own content, my own ideas, because I have a co-writer. And that, my friends, is a great way to use AI for writing so that you can take all these amazing ideas you've had in your head for years and actually get them out. Now, if you need a good system for publishing these ideas, you got to check out Hope Books, hopebooks.com. We help you discover, share, and publish your message of hope. Whether you use AI or not, we recommend that the best thing that you can do, the most life-changing thing you can do, is actually get your book published. And at Hope Books, we make publishing possible.